Hi folks, and welcome to this recording. In this recording, we move on to chapter 4 and we look at elasticity. So the concept of elasticity builds on your understanding and your knowledge of supply and demand. So in the chapter on supply and demand, when we looked at demand, for example, we knew that the law of demand states that as the price of a good decreases, the quantity demanded increases. So that is the basic rule, or rather law of demand. So what we're looking at in elasticity is, well, okay, we know that as the price of a good decreases, the quantity demanded should increase. Now we're looking at by how much. So we're trying to quantify the relationship between when a price drops, what is the quantity demanded? What is the change? Okay, so we're trying to quantify that relationship, and that's where we start to look at the concept of elasticity. Why is this of relevance to you as a media professional? Well, someday you might be working for a large print media house, for example. You may work for a company that provides streaming services, and you would like to know what is the optimal pricing. If you raise the price of your good substantially or even a little bit, what is going to be the impact on the number of subscriptions and the number of people that purchase your product? Ultimately, that will have an impact on the total revenue of your firm. So, conversations and understanding elasticity and its impact on your business is very, very important so you can make the right decisions about pricing your product. Okay, so what I've done here is I've just basically constructed a little overview of the different types of elasticity. In this elasticity, I'm just checking that I spelled that correctly. In this particular recording, we're focusing on the price elasticity of demand and the price elasticity of supply. In the next recording, we move on to income elasticity, and we'll discuss a little bit about cross-price elasticity. But price elasticity of demand, price elasticity of supply, and income elasticity are the three most important forms or categories of elasticity and most applicable in most types of industries, companies, etc. All right, so we've seen here that you have two main types of elasticity, the price elasticity of demand and the price elasticity of supply. And then we look at income elasticity. So what is the price elasticity of demand? So here we look at basically the responsiveness, okay? So how responsive quantity demanded, so that is the amount people buy, is to a change in price, okay? Let me just call this price elasticity, and then I'll make that blue so that we know that price elasticity looks at the responsiveness of quantity demanded, or rather how much people buy, to a change in price. So I gave a little scenario over here. All of you that know me well, you know I like my cupcakes, so I use that as an example. So if I went to a store and this week the cupcakes were selling at 10 Rand, and then next week I go back, the same cupcake is selling at 13 Rand. The store owner would like to know what has been the impact. We want to know how the amount of cupcakes people buy has changed. So what has been the impact of the 3 Rand price increase? If they were selling 50 units before, after the price increase, are they selling 40 units? Are they selling 30 units? Or are they selling, round about the same amount? So is it less? How much less? So in price elasticity, we're basically looking at the responsiveness of the amount people buy or quantity demanded to a change in price. Price elasticity of supply, on the other hand, looks at how responsive the supply of a good is to the changes in price. So here we again draw from our knowledge on demand and supply, and we know as the price a firm can charge for a good increases, the firm will be willing to supply more. So here we're going to look into price elasticity of supply a little bit. So we will be looking at elasticity over the next few weeks. Today is about introducing the main concepts. We're also going to look at factors which influence elasticity. So what makes a good more elastic or less elastic? So here, once we've looked at price elasticity and we've done a calculation, we can then categorize a good as either elastic, that means it's responsive to changes in price, or it's not responsive. Now you might be thinking, so what sort of goods are inelastic? What sort of goods goods where the price increases but people still have to consume the same amount? So typically petrol is an example of an almost inelastic good. The price goes up. Yes, you can cut back on the number of trips you make, but generally you still have to consume petrol. Electricity is another example of basically an inelastic item. I live in a complex. We are not allowed to get solar. We're not allowed to get our own generators or anything like that. Electricity costs what it costs. I need to charge my phone, my laptop. I need to cook my food. I don't have gas. So very much an inelastic good. I try and cut back, but there's only so much I can cut back. So the price of electricity can go up, the price of petrol can go up, but I'm very much stuck as a consumer in that I still have to purchase the same amount. So I said here, please think of your own examples of elastic and inelastic goods. Okay, so finally, these videos will help give you an overview of price elasticity of demand and price elasticity of supply. So in conclusion, in this recording, we have introduced the concept of elasticity, which we will be working on for the next few lessons. We looked at what is price elasticity of demand and supply, and what is an elastic and an inelastic good. We will also then look at, during the live Zoom session, the factors which influence elasticity and discuss them in relation to examples and relate them to real world scenarios. So that's all for now. Please make sure you do keep up with your work and your studies and don't let it snowball, because in economics, as you can see, each lecture and each concept builds on the previous concept.